The cemetery caretaker noticed an unusual noise coming from beneath the ground. As he pressed his ear close to the soil to listen more intently, a large, muscular hand suddenly burst through the earth and grabbed him by the neck. He struggled desperately but couldn't free himself from the tight grip. In a moment of sheer panic, he spotted a pair of large pruning shears nearby. Without hesitation, he grabbed them and swiftly cut off the hand that was choking him. To his shock, the severed hand continued to twitch and wriggle on the ground. But what was even more surprising was the caretaker's reaction. He didn't seem fazed at all. Calmly, he picked up the severed hand and tossed it into a wheelbarrow. As the hand landed inside, it became clear that the wheelbarrow was already filled with other dismembered body parts. The caretaker quickly looked around to ensure no one was watching. He hurriedly pushed the wheelbarrow out of the cemetery. Next to the cemetery stood a chemical plant emitting ominous green smoke. It seemed likely that the reanimation of the dead had something to do with this eerie haze. As night fell, a group of students, eager for a thrill, ventured into the cemetery to film footage for a paranormal project. Just as they were about to proceed, the caretaker suddenly appeared, trying to stop them. However, the students managed to talk their way out of the situation, claiming they were there to pay respects to their ancestors. Undeterred, the students pushed further into the cemetery and stumbled upon an old crypt. Inside, they found a coffin eerily propped up against the wall at an odd angle. The atmosphere was tense, and something felt off. One of the bolder students decided to open the coffin, only to find it completely empty. But before they could breathe a sigh of relief, the camera shifted, revealing a zombie standing right behind one of the students. The remaining 3 students froze in terror as they watched their friend get devoured on the spot. Realizing the danger, they had no choice but to run for their lives. As the 3 students fled for their lives, they encountered the cemetery caretaker. It turned out that the janitor had kept quiet about the zombie outbreak to hold onto his job, not wanting to lose the stability it provided. But now, with more zombies emerging from the ground, the 3 were desperate to get out of this nightmare. Meanwhile, a couple was having a date in a nearby cemetery, completely unaware of the impending danger. The man, feeling cramped in the car, decided to step outside for more space. But before they could even start anything, he was suddenly dragged away by a zombie. Lindsay, still in the mood and utterly confused, was about to get out to look for her boyfriend when she heard his agonizing screams. Realizing something was terribly wrong, she quickly shut the car door. But it was too late. A horde of zombies appeared in front of her. Panicking, she started the engine and sped away. On the road, she came across the trio being chased by zombies. Without hesitation, Lindsay stopped and picked them up, and together, they sped away from the terrifying scene. However, not long after driving away, the car suddenly broke down. Lindsay, realizing they were stranded, thought of calling her backup, Jimmy. But before she could even dial, a car approached from the distance. Hoping for rescue, Lindsay frantically waved her arms to flag it down. The car stopped, and for a moment, they thought they were saved, until they realized it was being driven by a zombie. Panic set in as they all bolted from the scene, but Lindsay's skirt got caught under the zombie's foot. Furious, she took off her high heel and used it to take down the zombie. Just as she freed herself, more zombies began closing in. In a stroke of luck, they spotted a nearby building. With no time to spare, they dashed inside, barely managing to escape the grasp of the approaching horde. Meanwhile, Jimmy, who was supposed to be on a date with Lindsay but got sidelined by a wealthy rival, was miserably delivering food. To make matters worse, the homeowner took forever to answer the door. When it finally opened, the homeowner had already turned into a zombie. Unaware of this, Jimmy thought she was just suffering from some strange illness. It wasn't until he noticed the grotesque appearances of the father and daughter inside that he realized something was seriously wrong. Panicking, Jimmy turned and sprinted back toward his car. Luckily, he made it just in time. But more zombies quickly surrounded the vehicle. Terrified by the scene, he slammed his foot on the gas pedal, speeding away as fast as he could. However, not long after speeding away, Jimmy came across a car overturned in the middle of the road. As he approached, he realized it was Kyle from school, the guy who had bullied him countless times. But in this moment, they had to set aside their past grudges and work together to survive the zombie apocalypse. Just as they started talking, they were shocked to see 2 zombies actually driving off in Jimmy's car. Furious, Kyle didn't hesitate. He grabbed a handgun from the overturned car and unleashed a barrage of bullets on the approaching zombies. Just then, their classmate Gwen happened to pass by, narrowly avoiding getting shot by Kyle, who almost mistook her for a zombie. As a zombie suddenly lunged at Gwen, Kyle's gun clicked empty. With no time to reload, he rushed forward and slammed the zombie onto a table. Not wanting to be outdone, Jimmy grabbed a baseball bat from the ground and joined the fight. After a fierce battle, the zombie finally retreated, leaving Gwen in shock. It wasn't until Jimmy pulled her along to escape that she snapped out of it. Having narrowly survived, Jimmy immediately called Lindsay and learned she was trapped in a nearby building. Without hesitation, he led Kyle and Gwen to her location. Truly, he was proving to be the ultimate backup plan. The streets were crawling with zombies, so the trio decided to take the sewers. The smell was unbearable, but it was much safer than above ground. Fortunately, the distance was short, and they quickly reached their destination. Once inside, they began reinforcing all the doors and windows. However, as Jimmy entered a room, he made a chilling discovery. The building they were in was a funeral home. Soon, hordes of zombies began gathering outside, making it clear that even indoors wasn't safe. To make matters worse, a green gas started seeping in, causing the bodies in the coffins to mutate into zombies. The group panicked and ran for safety, inadvertently stumbling into a pitch-black room. Luckily, Kyle managed to shoot down the zombie that had chased them. When Gwen turned on the lights, they were horrified to see several corpses lying around. They were in the morgue. Kyle quickly reloaded his gun, but when he looked up, the bodies were gone. The next moment, a zombie suddenly jumped down from one of the cabinets. Kyle reacted fast, grabbing the zombie and slamming it onto a table. Jimmy, not wasting a second, picked up whatever he could find and started smashing the zombie. Kyle then rushed over to help the others fend off the attacking zombies. In the chaos, Lindsay and Gwen accidentally opened a morgue drawer, releasing another zombie. Without hesitation, Kyle shot it down, then turned back to help the others as they fought for their lives. The people Kyle once bullied had now become those he fought to protect. In a tragic turn, Kyle was bitten on the neck by a zombie. In his final moments, he managed to shoot the zombie, but the bite took its toll, and he succumbed, only to rise again as one of the undead. The reanimated Kyle lunged at the nearest person, Jimmy. The others rushed in to pull him away, but Kyle, now a zombie, was even more dangerous. With his classmates' lives at risk, Jimmy had no choice but to take him down. The others joined in, stabbing repeatedly until the zombie version of Kyle was completely motionless. Suddenly, Lindsay remembered the school dance that was currently taking place. The noise would undoubtedly attract more zombies. She tried to call the dance organizers to warn them, but no one answered. After a brief discussion, they decided they had to head to the dance immediately. Fortunately, there was a hearse parked outside, big enough to fit everyone. The only problem was deciding who would go out to start the car. At that moment, Gwen, the cheerleading captain, stepped up, volunteering herself as the obvious choice for the job. With everything in place, they swung open the door and worked together to clear out the zombies blocking their way. Gwen seized the opportunity and sprinted toward the hearse, dodging zombie attacks along the way. She managed to get inside and drive the hearse to the door, allowing the others to quickly pile in. However, they hadn't gone far when the tires suddenly blew out. It turned out that the gym teacher had mistaken them for zombies driving the car and shot the tire. When the gym teacher realized they were heading to the school dance to save the students, his concern for his students made him quickly join the group. He insisted on taking them to his personal stash, explaining that fighting zombies without weapons was a death sentence. At the warehouse, everyone armed themselves with suitable weapons. Some even grabbed bombs. Once fully equipped, the gym teacher led the way, driving his armored vehicle as they set off for the dance. Meanwhile, at the school, the band was rehearsing when the bassist opened the metal doors and was greeted by a horde of zombies. Unaware of the chaos outside, they initially mistook the zombies for an enthusiastic audience. But when the zombies rushed toward them, panic set in. The guitarist accidentally strummed the electric guitar, and to their surprise, the zombies froze in place at the sound. When the music stopped, the zombies resumed their attack, forcing the band members to keep playing to keep the zombies at bay. Luckily, the gym teacher arrived just in time and swiftly took out all the zombies. Grateful for the rescue, the band joined the group, driving along with them to the prom venue. However, when they reached the entrance to the hall, they realized they were too late. The students inside had all turned into zombies. Despite the grim situation, the gym teacher was determined to eliminate the threat. He quickly devised a plan to take out all the zombies at once using a bomb. The gym teacher found a ventilation duct and crawled through it, eventually reaching the ceiling above the hall. Once he planted the bomb, the rest of the group locked all the doors to the hall. Along the way, they even stumbled upon a few surviving students. Everything was going according to plan until the gym teacher accidentally dropped the remote detonator into the hall below. With no other choice, he instructed Jimmy to retrieve the remote, while he continued setting up the remaining bombs. Jimmy received the message and told the others to evacuate first. He then bravely opened the door and stepped into the hall alone. After a tense search, he finally spotted the remote nestled in a fruit bowl. But to his surprise, Lindsay had followed him. This time, she refused to leave Jimmy behind. Hand in hand, they carefully made their way to the table where the remote was located. Just as Jimmy was about to reach for it, a zombie noticed them. The zombie flipped the table over, sending the remote skidding across the floor and exposing them to the horde of zombies. Surrounded by the horde of zombies and facing imminent danger, Jimmy and Lindsay knew they had to fight for their lives. The situation seemed dire until the sound of guitar music suddenly filled the hall, causing the zombies to momentarily halt their attack. It turned out that the band hadn't left and had started playing on stage. Seizing the opportunity, Jimmy and Lindsay grabbed weapons from the floor. Jimmy spotted the remote control lying nearby. However, just as they were about to retrieve it, a zombie accidentally knocked over a power cord, causing the music to abruptly stop. The moment the music ceased, the zombies went wild again. Jimmy and Lindsay quickly took cover under the seats, but one zombie, carrying its own head, managed to follow them. They had to keep moving, but one of the zombies accidentally pressed a button, causing the seats to start retracting. Fortunately, they escaped just in time, leaving the retracted seats to trap the zombie inside. Lindsay seized the opportunity, grabbing a baseball bat and dispatching the trapped zombie. Meanwhile, the bassist got back on stage and reconnected the power. With the music playing again, the zombies were momentarily distracted. Jimmy dashed over, retrieved the remote control, and climbed onto the stage, urging the band to flee. As they all fled, the zombies pursued them. They ran through the corridors and reached a locked door. With no other option, they took refuge in a nearby room. However, the bassist was left behind and was quickly overwhelmed by the horde. As the door began to buckle under the pressure of the advancing zombies, the guitarist and drummer quickly climbed out of the window, making their escape. Inside the room, Jimmy and Lindsay fought desperately to hold the door, but the situation turned dire when a zombie managed to break through and tackled Jimmy to the ground. Seeing this, Lindsay didn't hesitate. She threw an axe toward Jimmy, who caught it just in time to deliver a decisive blow to the zombie. After that, he used a table to help Lindsay fend off the remaining zombies, and the two managed to climb out of the window and escape. Jimmy took the opportunity to confess his feelings to Lindsay. Without missing a beat, he also pressed the button on the remote control. A massive explosion erupted behind them, sending zombies flying in every direction. In the aftermath, the gym teacher gathered the remaining students and drove them away from the scene in a school bus.